I know I'm late on this video. The Marvel Comics solicitations for November have been out for almost a week now, but I'm finally here. We're going to talk about the sad state of Marvel Comics creative. We're going to cover Marvel Comics November solicitations by the numbers. If you're a Spider-Man fan, if you're an X-Men fan, how much is it going to cost you? If you're a speculator and you want all the number one issues, how much moolah are you going to have to fork over to support your Marvel Comics habit? And finally, we're going to go over the entire solicitations in full, and my lock of the month is in play again. I didn't even realize people cared about my lock of the month, but it's back in play. I got enough feedback to know, Wes, you better get that bad boy back in there. Now, we know that Ryan North is taking over for Fantastic Four. I think for most Fantastic Four fans, it's quite disappointing. You would have expected a bigger name writer, somebody more high profile than Ryan North. We are getting a more high-profile writer on Iron Man, but equally, at least in my opinion, disappointing. Marvel announced the team that will pick up Iron Man, and the names on it should be familiar to comic readers, starting with issue 751, otherwise known as Invincible Iron Man #1. Tony Stark's adventures will be written by Gerry Duggan and drawn by Juan Frigeri. According to the publisher, Tony Stark will be fighting his way out of rock bottom when a mysterious supervillain puts a hit on him, sending the deadliest assassins in the Marvel Universe after the Golden Avenger. Tony Stark's hitting rock bottom. Have never heard that story before. That wasn't exactly the same pitch when they announced Christopher Cant-Wrightwell's Iron Man series. That didn't exactly go well. And I think a lot of people, myself including, were probably hoping for something a little bit more high profile than Gerry Duggan on Iron Man. You know, I'm glad they're bringing back Invincible Iron Man. I think that's a better name for the series, but not exactly a needle mover as far as interest when it comes to yours truly. And I think a lot of people, when it comes to Gerry Duggan, he's had some good stuff here and there. Iron Man doesn't feel like a character that's really going to be in his wheelhouse that he's really going to be able to explore and do a good job with. It feels like a character that he's going to do something similar to what Christopher Cant-Wrightwell did with him already. And since the announcement came with almost the exact same pitch, it feels like my intuitions on this one are probably well served. Why aren't we getting better creative on Marvel Comics? Yes, we've got Donny Cates on Thor and Hulk, which is very exciting, and I think a lot of people are enjoying that. Chip Zdarsky is still on Daredevil. Zeb Wells, not exactly a big name, on Amazing Spider-Man. You would expect somebody bigger to be on Amazing Spider-Man. Dan Slott going back to Spider-Man. Jason Aaron finishing up his Avengers run. We're not sure who's going to take over that one. Ryan North on Fantastic Four. A lot of kind of deflating moments when it comes to the creative announcements. I think there are no good creatives left that really want to work for the big two exclusively. I think a lot of the high-profile comic book creators out there have realized they're getting royally screwed when it comes to their creative efforts being produced and changed and sent over to other types of media like movies and streaming. They're not going to make money off of it. They have creative freedom on the indie scene, which is booming right now. I've talked about that here on the channel. And you have other venues out there like a Substack. I think the grants are over, but it looks like a lot of the more high-profile creators out there, like a James Tynion or whatever, are actually making some pretty good bank on Substack. So why would they go over and work for Marvel and DC, where they get to work with the best characters that everyone knows, but they're not going to get really rewarded for all the hard work they put in there, and they have to work with some really incredibly incompetent editorial staff. So I understand it, I guess, from the creator's perspective, but I think it's time for us to just get used to Marvel Comics aren't going to be putting a lot of big names on these titles. It feels like Peter David would have been perfect for Fantastic Four, but I think he kind of likes working on that old school stuff that he's been doing for quite a while. And you can't blame him for that either. So get used to disappointment when they announced the Avengers new writer. I think everybody's hoping it's going to be Donny Cates, but we all know it's going to be Kelly Thompson, right? Because I just don't think there's a lot of high-profile creators out there just clamoring to work with Marvel Comics right now, and Donny Cates is on Thor and Hulk already. Now let's look at Marvel Comics by the numbers for November of 2022. How much are you going to have to spend? How many new number ones are they going to put out? As far as total issues, Marvel Comics are putting out 75 new comics in total. 24 of those are number one issues. For 32% of all new comics in November of 2022 are number one issues. That is a lot. Even by Marvel standards, it's normally about 25, all the way up to a third of all comic books are number ones, for a total of $113 or $4.71 on average per issue for the number one issues. The average price isn't all that bad, but the volume, the sheer volume, is actually quite overwhelming, even for Marvel Comics, although they are starting a bunch of new miniseries in November of 2022, and it's also a fifth release week. They have 5 weeks in November, so they're throwing out some one-shots and stuff like that. That probably explains most of that. If you're a Spider-Man fan, Marvel Comics are taking it easy on you compared to the other franchises. 9 new comics in total related to Spider-Man, including Spider-Man, Carnage, Venom, all that kind of stuff. 12% of all new comics are Spider-Man related for a total of $38 or $4.22 on average. My goodness, are Marvel Comics kicking DC's butt when it comes to their premier characters. Batman, you're going to get like 40 new comic books, and they're going to be like $5 an issue. Marvel Comics are pretty good when it comes to Spider-Man and the way that they're treating their fans. X-Men fans, a little bit different. 15 new X-Men related comic books. 20% of all new comics will be X-Men related for a total of $63 or $4.20 on average. Good average price. Overwhelming amount of X-Men comics. I don't think the line is strong enough to warrant 15 releases in a single month, but hey, that's what Marvel are doing. If you're an Avengers fan, they're really upping the quantity of Avengers in November 2022. 17 new Avengers-related comic books, whether it be the teams, Doctor Strange, Hulk comics, stuff like that. 23% of all new Marvel comics are Avengers-related for a total of $75 or $4.41 on average. Once again, they're not really taking it out of your hide when it comes to the average price, but there is a lot of quantity, especially for Avengers. You would expect that to be more like around 10 to 12 in a normal Marvel month, but they're doing a lot of Avengers stuff as they're getting to the end of Jason Aaron's run on the series. There's a couple of miniseries and stuff like that. Star Wars fans are actually doing more Star Wars than normal as well. 11 new Star Wars comics, 15% of all new Marvel comics are Star Wars for a total of $49 or $4.45 on average. Star Wars fans normally have it the easiest. Normally it's 5 to 6 new comic books, but they've got a lot of new miniseries, some High Republic stuff coming out like that as well. So if you're a Star Wars fan, if you're enjoying what Marvel Comics are doing, November is going to be a good month for you because they got a lot of comic books coming out, 2 a week on average. That is Marvel Comics by the numbers for November of 2022. Now let's get into the solicitations themselves. This video normally lasts about 25 to 30 minutes on average. Get yourself a nice beverage, a Snapple, maybe a Coors Light, maybe a refreshing ice water, something like that. And let's get to business. As I mentioned earlier, there's going to be a lot of Avengers comic book content. That's the very first comic book, Avengers Assemble, Alpha #1, Jason Aaron, Brian Hitch. Man, what a waste of Brian Hitch. This is the end of the Jason Aaron era on Avengers. Throughout time in the four corners of the multiverse, the mightiest heroes of all Earths are assembling as never before for a battle beyond all imaging. I think it's supposed to be imagining. I don't know. A war that will take us from the prehistoric beginnings of an Earth under assault by the greatest villain who'd ever lived to the watchtower that stands at the dark heart of all and always, where an army of unprecedented evil now rises. This is absolutely unwarranted. $6 for the end of a run that I think everyone knows should have ended probably 2 years ago. If you want to buy this, I say you're a sucker. Avengers Forever #11, Jason Aaron, Jim Toe. Another thing that probably should have never got greenlit. Avengers 62, Jason Aaron, Ivan Fiorelli. All Out Avengers #3, Derek Landy, Greg Land. So we're going to get some porn face. That's always nice. Amazing Spider-Man 14, Zeb Wells, Michael Dowling, Kyle Holtz. Zeb Wells has been on Spider-Man for like 3 months, and they're already like doing the 14th issue. It's crazy how much Spider-Man they put out there. We haven't seen Chasm since ASM 894 and the Free Comic Book Day issue, but that doesn't mean he has been busy. Join us for a very special issue featuring Spidey's most dangerous new villain, as well as the Goblin Queen and a brand new villain that you won't believe. Oh, I bet I will. Dark Web Prelude. Thank goodness. Venom #13, Al Ewing, Brian Hitch, Dark Web Prelude. A lot of preludes to Dark Web. Forced to watch his son die from across the time stream, Eddie Brock finds himself surrounded by enemies, alone with no one to trust. An unexpected ally lends a hand, and she's setting the stage for the most epic crossover of the year. So this is going to be Maddie Pryor, I guess. At least that's what it's been hinted at that I've seen. Gold Goblin #1, Chris Cantwell, Lon Medina. Oh, God. Why do they keep letting Christopher Cantwell make comic books for Marvel? Didn't he just get like a new producer gig or showrunner gig for a television show? Shocking. This is also a Dark Web prelude. Fantastic Four #1, inexplicably, Ryan North and Ivan Coelho. Ivan Coelho is a great artist. Ryan North is an absolute nobody that never will be. As untalented as you can imagine a writer being put on Fantastic Four, that is what Ryan North is. A.X.E, Judgment Day, Omega #1, Kieran Gillen, Gui Villanova. I guess this is the capstone for Judgment Day, which has not been very good. The first issue was good. Everything else kind of sucked. After events, we make promises. Nothing will ever be the same again. For the Eternals, it's a lie. It's always the same and always will be. However, in the wake of Judgment Day, they discover what is truly eternal. Love. That's what's truly eternal. Miracle Man by Gaiman and Buckingham, the Silver Age #2. Gaiman and Buckingham's epic has returned, and you won't believe where the story goes. Miracle Man has his old friend back, but young Miracle Man has never felt more alone. Now, this will be good. If you like Miracle Man, I think this is going to be something for you. Deadpool #1, Alyssa Wong, Martin Kokolo. What a waste of a character as cool as Deadpool, but like I said, Marvel Comics, I don't think they have access to good creators anymore. Tiger Division #1, Emily Kim, Kreese Lee. The Defenders of South Korea take center stage in their first ever solo series. I enjoyed my time in South Korea. I really like Korean culture. I don't think I'm going to get any of that in this comic book. Just lame-ass story. Doctor Strange, Fall Sunrise #1, Tradmore. This thing should be absolutely trippy. I remember when Tradmore did that series with Donny Cates of being off the charts, mind trippy. Probably works very well with Doctor Strange. I don't know if he's a good writer, but man, this art is going to be nuts. Demon Wars, Shields of Justice #1, Peach Momoko, $5 one-shot. I've been enjoying all the Demon Days stuff that Peach Momoko has been doing. They've all just been really good interpretations of the Marvel Comics universe with a Japanese fairy tale like spin on them, where you can recognize they're inspired by Marvel, but they're not like one-for-one rehashes of what Marvel has done in the past. So I think these have been really good. This is an absolute must-buy if you ask me. Planet Hulk Worldbreaker #1, Greg Pak, Manuel Garcia. What is this the third time that Greg Pak has tried to rekindle the Planet Hulk magic that has eluded him since he wrote the story? I mean, I can't take this away from Greg Pak. There's only a handful of writers at Marvel and DC over the past 20, 25 years that have written comic book stories that will be read in 50 years. Greg Pak is one of them, but he has not been able to recapture that magic with anything. This is his third go around with Planet Hulk. I think there was a sequel. There was the Amadeus Cho Brogert Hulk ripoff version of this, and now we're getting this add-on to it. I hope people enjoy this. I'm probably going to take a skip Rooney. Greg Pak just doesn't have it anymore for me, and I find that really disappointing. Extreme X-Men #1, Chris Claremont, Salvador LaRocca. Not a big fan of Salvador LaRocca these days. I like Chris Claremont, but his Extreme X-Men just really normally isn't my taste. I'll check it out because it is Chris Claremont and it is X-Men, but I definitely have extreme cynicism about whether or not this is going to be good. I hope he proves me wrong. Murder World Avengers #1, one shot, $4 for my favorite villain, Arcade. And it just sucks so bad that it's Jim Zub and Ray Fox. Jim Zub seems like a really nice guy. And I've given him a shot like 5 or 6 times. I'm like, you know what? You say Jim Zub's good. I'm going to read this comic book. And every time he bores me to tears. He doesn't do anything interesting in his stories. And I'm really disappointed. I don't ever get to see Arcade really in Marvel Comics. I guess we did get to see him in that hunted story from Nick Spencer on Spider-Man. But other than that, you just don't see the character very much. Sabretooth and the Exiles #1, Victor Laval, Leonard Kirk. It'll look good. Secret Invasion #1, Ryan North, Francesco Mobley. This thing was supposed to come out like a year ago. And finally it is coming out. I guess we have the Secret Invasion show coming up on Disney Plus, but I think they're going to wish they had just scrapped this all together. Ryan North is so untalented, it's not even funny. Amazing Spider-Man 13, Zeb Wells, John Romita Jr., Hobgoblin's story comes to a chilling end, and no one is going to be rocked harder than Norman Osborn. Witness the birth of the Gold Goblin. No, because that leads into Christopher can't write well. What does this mean for our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? Well, it means another Spider-Man comic book. Deadly Neighborhood Spider-Man #2, Taboo and B. Earl with Juan Ferreira. It'll look great because Juan Ferreira is a really good artist, but I don't like the Black Eyed Peas enough to read one of their Spider-Man comics. Spider-Man #2, Dan Slott, Mark Bagley. The end of the Spider-Verse rages on. After the tragedy of the first issue, our spider heroes try to make plans against Morlun, but Morlun isn't their only problem. Shathra is back and more powerful than the last time she nearly killed Peter and Ezekiel. Last time, Peter tricked Shathra, and she's had plenty of time to plan his death and the death of all spiders. Riveting stuff. Peter Parker and Miles Morales, Spider-Man Double Trouble #1, Mariko Tamaki, Vita Ayala, Guru Hero on art. Guru Hero is a really good artist, especially for kids' comic books, but I would never let Mariko Tamaki or Vita Ayala have access to my kids as far as stories go. That's just how I feel. Spider-Man The Lost Hunt #1 of 5, J.M. DeMatteis, Eder Macias. This is must-read stuff. I love Kraven's Last Hunt. It's one of my favorite stories of all times. I don't really consider it a Spider-Man story. He's more of a guest star, in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to this one. The origins of Kraven finally revealed. J.M. DeMatteis continues to spin new webs within the past, this time partnered with artist Eder Macias. revealing secrets and answering mysteries Spidey fans have been waiting for. Prepare to explore the depths of what made Kraven the Hunter the powerhouse villain he was. So this appears to be one of those like 5-issue miniseries that stuck like 30 years ago in continuity. I've loved almost all these, and I will definitely be reading it. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind #1, Kevin Shinick, Gerardo Sandoval. We haven't really had an ongoing Guardians of the Galaxy. This is a one-shot. I've read 1 or 2 comics from Kevin Shinick, and I remember not being impressed. Thanos Death Notes #1, J. Michael Straczynski, Torun Grunbeck, Kyle Starks, and Christopher Can't Write Well, Andrea DeVito, Ron Lim, Travel Foreman, and more. Spinning out of Donny Cates and Nick Klein's Thor comes an all-new Thanos one-shot with Ron Lim's return to the Mad Titan. Thanos is missing, presumed dead, but Thor has seen visions of his return, and it is enough to make even a god fear. To prepare himself, to prepare the universe, whatever. I will probably check this out, although I hate anthologies. And 40-page anthologies are worse than most because the stories are going to be 8 to 10 pages maybe, or something like that. So I'm not expecting anything, but J. Michael Straczynski, Ron Lim, Travel Foreman, I'll probably check it out. Namor, Conquered Shores #2, Christopher Can't Write Well, Pasquale Ferry, $5. Wakanda #2, Evan Narcisse and Adam Sewer with Ibrahim Robertson and Natasha Bustos. Gonna skip this one. Midnight Suns #3, Ethan Sachs, Luigi Zagaria. Not interested. Blade Vampire Nation #1, Mark Russell, Miko Suya. I feel bad for Miko Suya. That's such a great artist, obviously from here in the Philippines, and Mark Russell Blade comic. You couldn't fucking pay me. Captain America, Sentinel Liberty #6, Colin Kelly, Jackson Lanzig with Carmen Carnero on art. Captain America has misjudged his place in the battle against the elusive Outer Circle. It's about to cost him everything. The Century game has been turned upside down, and when the dust settles, Steve Rogers' world will never be the same again. Captain America, Symbol of Truth #7, Tochi Onyebuchi, Iguara. No RB Silva on this one, and no one's reading this thing, so why even cover it? You know what I mean? Captain America and the Winter Soldier Special #1, now you have my attention. Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzig, well, you lost it. Kev Walker on art. I don't know why these guys keep getting so much work. They're so supremely untalented. Although their Captain America hasn't been terrible, I'll give them that. Iron Man 25, Christopher Can't Write Well, Kurt Busiek, and Maria Oyedele. I'm not going to cover this. This looks bad. It's going to be terrible. Gambit #5, Chris Claremont, Sid Kotian. Gambit and Rome must do battle with a trio of intergalactic bounty hunters as Remy finds himself in the crosshairs of competing forces looking for revenge and payday. Lila Cheney rocks the galaxy with an explosive encore. The first issue was pretty darn good. Definitely keep checking this one out. X-Men Legends #4, Ed Nascenti, Javier Pena. Mojo's latest motion picture is off to a rousing start, but can Longshot recover his memories in time to stop Wolverine from carrying out the execution of Shadowcat? I'll probably check this one out. Don't love Mojo World, but I am a big fan of Ann Nascenti, and hopefully this is a good one. X-Men 17, Gerry Duggan, Josh Cassera. As the new X-Men team brings deals with a seemingly unstoppable foe, one X-Men wrestles with the fact that they've gone way too far, and another is shaken by unexpectedly getting exactly what they no longer left. That is a mouthful. My goodness, whoever put that together doesn't know how to think. There's nothing coherent about that fucking solicit. That's terrible. Did Gerry Duggan write that himself? Exterminators #3, Leah Williams, Carlos Gomez. This thing will definitely be covered on the channel. Legion of X #7, Cy Spurrier, Nito Diaz. X-Men Red #8, Al Ewing, Mabedek. Man, they are really going around the world for these fucking artists. Cable Springs is trapped for Abigail Brand, but are her plans too big for even Ascani Sud to handle alone? To foil a scheme stretching from the Sol System to the Shi'ar Empire and beyond, the Soldier of Tomorrow is going to need all the help he can get from his very own X-Men Red. Marauders #8, Steve Orlando, Eleonora Carlini. The Marauders go where no Krakoan has gone before. Back at last to the first mutant society ever. Kate Pride might be okay, so they're traveling through time. God. Wolverine 27, Ben Percy, Juan Jose Rip. Wolverine's been sold out. Bannister's been duped. And when the dust settles, there's something different about Logan. Wolverine Saga in the Krakoan era takes a savage turn with a decision and a betrayal that changes everything. This is all new, all savage Wolverine. Okay, we'll see about that. New Mutants 32, Charlie Jane Anders, Alberto Alberca. X-Force 34, Ben Percy, Chris Allen. In space, no one can hear you snick it. Immortal X-Men number 8, Kieran Gillen, Michelle Bandini. Locks, what's going on in foggy old London town in the year of our Lord 1895? Well, it's only Sherlock Holmes, Mystique, and Destiny on the tracks of a murderer and uncovering a truth that's significantly more sinister. God, I'm so tired of Mr. Sinister. I'm really tired of Mr. Sinister. Kieran Gillen should never be allowed to use that character again. Black Panther Unconquered number 1, Brian Edward Hill, Alberto Focci on art. Lock it up, folks. This is my lock of the month. Brian Edward Hill hasn't worked for Marvel Comics for years now. I think the last thing he did was Fallen Angels, returning to the Black Panther universe with Black Panther Unconquered. Unfortunately, it's just a one-shot, but at least that's a start. Hopefully, we can get Brian Edward Hill and some more work there. T'Challa faces a challenge unlike anything Wakanda has ever seen before in this all-new epic one-shot by Brian Edward Hill and Alberto Focci. Well, not exactly a lot of information there, but I guarantee you this thing is going to be badass. Brian Edward Hill has worked in the Black Panther universe in the past, specifically the Killmonger miniseries. If you haven't seen that bad boy with Juan Ferreira on art, it is absolutely spectacular. It's one of the best stories Marvel have put out in the past 5 or 10 years. I am excited for this. Hopefully, Brian Edward Hill can bring it home and land another hit comic book. Unfortunately, it's a one-shot, so that will limit the amount of people interested in this comic book. But if you're looking for something cool, Black Panther related, I think this is going to be something that you're looking for. Lock it up, folks. This one is going to be off the chain. Black Panther number 11, John Ridley, Herman Peralta. This is a series that started out with a lot of potential. He was doing some pretty cool stuff, but has quickly fallen off the trade tracks. You know what I'm saying? John Ridley is just not, he's not a comic book writer. He just isn't. He's never going to be. Savage Avengers number 7, David Pepos, Carlos Magno, trapped in a futuristic war zone ruled by the Iron Fist of Ultron. Jake Gallows and the Savage Avengers must embark on a high-stakes jailbreak to free one man who could possibly bring them home. They're stuck in time. God, stop doing the same stories over and over. We got this going on with the Avengers Forever. The Marauders are stuck in time. Fucking Immortal X-Men stuck in time. Everybody is out of time. Ghost Rider number 8, Ben Percy, Corey Smith. This thing has been like a surprise hit. I don't think Marvel was probably expecting this thing to just sit permanently in the top 20, but it appears that's exactly what's happening. Johnny Blaze and Talia Warroad working together as part of a splinter unit within the FBI. They will map out the shadow highways that crisscross the country, uncovering the larger design of an underworld conspiracy. Carnage number 8, Graham V. Roge Antonio. Their Carnage symbiote travels to Asgardian hell with a very specific mission on its mind, reaching Malekith the Accursed. But to what end? What could the symbiote be trying to get out of the fallen Lord of the Dark Elves? Moon Knight number 17, the best ongoing series at Marvel Comics, in my opinion. Jed MacKay, Alessandro Capuccio. The structure is poised to make their claim on New York City, but before Moon Knight and his allies can strike at them, the super assassins Grand Mal and Neiman must be dealt with. Well, that sounds good. Daredevil number 5, Chip Zdarsky, Marco Cicchetto. After the biggest change to befall Matt Murdock in decades in the pages of Daredevil number 4, Matt Murdock and Electric Nachos embark on establishing a new world order hand in hand. Punisher number 7, Jason Aaron, Jesus Saez, Paul Azuqueta. I was actually really enjoying this series, but Jason Aaron kept making so many fundamental changes and alterations to the Frank Castle Punisher character that even though I liked it, I just gave up on it. Strange number 8, Jed MacKay, Marcelo Ferreira. She-Hulk number 8, Rainbow Rowell, Luca Maresca. Strange Academy Finals number 2, Scotty Young, Humberto Ramos. This is absolutely guaranteed to jump into my Lock of the Month category. I love this series. I'm excited it's coming back, and I'm glad they kept Scotty Young and Humberto Ramos. Let's just put it that way. They would have changed the creative team, I would have been pissed. Jedis Vell, Captain Marvel number 5, Peter David, Juan Ramirez. Peter David is the best writer at Marvel Comics right now. I don't know why they won't put him on an ongoing, but he gets to do all these wonderful 5-issue miniseries. Obviously, this is the end of this one. Defenders Beyond number 5, Al Ewing, Javier Rodriguez. The Final Trial of Loki, America. Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, Gene Yang, Marcus Toe. Ultraman, Mystery of the Ultra 7 number 4, Kyle Higgins, Matt Groom with David Tinto. Damage Control number 4, Adam F. Goldberg and Hans Ridionoff with Nathan Stockman. I don't know why this comic book exists. Captain Marvel 43. Let's give a little slow clap to Kelly Thompson and Marvel Comics for sticking with this. It's not selling, but they refuse to reboot it, and I say that's a good thing. Thank goodness. Stop rebooting Captain Marvel. Just let it go on with bad sales into eternity, and you don't have to say, well, we had 15 reboots in a 10-year period. You know what I mean? Thunderbolts number 4, Jim Zub, Sean Izaki. Hulk 10, Donny Cates, Ryan Otley. Hulk Planet Part 2. Starship Hulk has found what should be the ultimate paradise, an entire planet of Hulk-like creatures thriving under the heat of a gamma star. Donny Cates is just getting a little bit like stale and boring to me at Marvel Comics. It feels like he's just going back to old stories and repurposing them for the most part. And guess what Hulk Planet's based on? Could it be Planet Hulk? Predator number 4, Ed Brisson, Kev Walker. I had high hopes for this series, but after reading the first issue, I would never touch this again until they get a new writer on it. That thing was absolutely embarrassing. I think I'm supposed to be rooting for the Predators not to get killed by the 50-pound girl. Alien number 3, Philip Kennedy Johnson, Julius Ota. While searching the xenomorph-infested Tobbler 9 for an alien sample that can save humanity, Steel Team, the mythical synthetic special operations team, has made a shocking discovery, a colony of humans who have managed to survive there for decades. Man, I'll read it because I read everything Alien. Star Wars Yoda number 1, Kevin Scott, Nico Leone. This is another project that you would expect maybe somebody big to be on, but Kevin Scott he's not bad. He's just not good. You expect somebody better on like a Yoda series, spending $5 on it, but apparently Yoda's not a big priority. I'll probably just skip this one after seeing what happened to old Obi-Wan, you know what I mean? Wasn't very good. Star Wars Hidden Empire number 1, Charles Soule, Steve Cummings. The mysterious syndicate Crimson Dawn and its leader Lady Kira have become the galaxy's most wanted criminals as Emperor Palpatine realizes the scope of Kira's plans against him and move to destroy her. Is Kira and Crimson Dawn in Star Wars really that big of a deal? They sure seem to be going to this well a lot. And now that I see Dr. Aphra on the cover, I definitely know I'll be skipping this one. It's just not interesting to me at all. Star Wars Revelations number 1, Mark Guggenheim, Salvador LaRocca, Paco Medina, and more. After the War of Bounty Hunters came Crimson Reign. Now in the midst of Hidden Empire, Kira has shaken the galactic landscape to its core. But what lies beyond the rebellion for the Empire, what role do bounty hunters play, and what is happening to Dr. Aphra? Okay, a bunch of questions I don't care about other than the rebellion and the Empire. Star Wars The High Republic, The Blade number 1, Charles Soule, Marco Castillo. I don't read The High Republic, and no one could ever convince me to actually try it at this point. Star Wars The High Republic number 2, Kevin Scott, Ario Anindito. Star Wars Bounty Hunters number 28, Ethan Sachs, Paolo Bianelli. If you're going to read a Star Wars comic book, I say this is the one. Although it looks like The Mandalorian might be the real breakout hit, but the one that's ongoing, this one's been pretty decent. Star Wars Han Solo and Chewbacca, Mark Guggenheim, Paul Fry, outgunned and outnumbered. Chewie makes a daring escape from prison. Greedo is on the run, and you won't believe who is after him. Redacted is back, and boy, are they mad. Man, I don't like Redacted. That character gives me the heebie-jeebies. Star Wars The Mandalorian number 5, Rodney Barnes, George Genti. I thought this was a miniseries, but it's not being solicited as a miniseries anymore. This thing was an enormous hit. I think it came in like number 3, or maybe it was number 2 for the month when it debuted. Huge hit for Star Wars and Marvel Comics. Obviously, The Mandalorian is a big-time property. A lot of people love it, and they're reading the comic book. Star Wars Darth Vader 29, Greg Pak, Luke Ross. If you like Star Wars and you love Darth Vader, just go read the Kieran Gillen and Charles Soule Darth Vader runs. There's like 60 or 70 issues there for you to chomp on, and it's absolutely fantastic. You get to read the Star Wars Vader crossover Vader Down, which is one of the best original Star Wars stories we've seen in like the last 10 or 15 years. Absolutely amazing. This, on the other hand, is very mid. Star Wars Dr. Aphra, Alyssa Wong, Minyuki Jung, Star Wars 29, Charles Soule, Ramon Razonas, with their supply lines in jeopardy due to unfulfilled promises from Crimson Dawn. General Leia Organa knows it's just a matter of time before the rebels run out of crucial supplies. Fortunately, Amlin Holdo, oh God, a Holdo sighting. That'll do it for your November 2022 Marvel Comics solicitations. Not a ton to chew on, but there's definitely some quality out there. Looking forward to Black Panther Unconquered. Daredevil's been good. Moon Knight's really good. The Peter David stuff has been absolutely excellent. You just got to pick and choose your battles when it comes to Marvel Comics. The Peach Momoko miniseries, like the Demon Days, Demon Wars stuff, is all really high-quality stuff. And we do have some change to look forward to. We're getting new creative on Fantastic Four, Iron Man, and eventually Avengers. I don't think any of that stuff's turned out well, but hey, you never know. It could turn out great in the end, and I was wrong about my predictions on what was going to happen. But it's Marvel Comics. It's 2022. It is kind of hard to find quality. There's a good reason for that. Recently, Alyssa Wong talked to Adventures in Poor Taste about how she got hired to write Deadpool with the X-Men office, really points a spotlight on a lot of the issues within Marvel Comics and the X-Men office. Definitely check this out if you haven't seen what I'm talking about, and get some more details on why Marvel Comics are in the toilet right now. And if you're on a mobile device, there's a link in the video description.